The episode opens with Todd leaving a voice message for Walt outside a diner, his calm tone a chilling contrast to the news he's delivering, telling him that he has had some issues with Declan and that there has been a change in management that has now been resolved. Inside the diner, Todd eats with Jack and Kenny, and casually tells them about the train heist, his reckless nature, and loose lips revealing a crucial weakness. Afterwards, Jack confirms with Todd that he's ready to start cooking again. We then see them driving into New Mexico, another step forward in their dangerous alliance. Jesse is being questioned by the APD, then by Hank alone. Hank reveals he knows Walt is Heisenberg, and he wants Jesse to turn on his partner, his knowledge and power now fully displayed to a terrified Jesse. Jesse says nothing, but his fear of Walt is clear to Hank. Saul arrives, immediately clearing the room, his fear of his own liability now at a boiling point. Saul calls Walt, who orders him to work his magic and get Jesse out. While Walt applies cover-up to the black eye Hank gave him, his fragile ego now a priority, he overhears Walter Jr. asking for permission to go help Marie with a computer problem. Walt, sensing that his family is beginning to turn against him, rushes to stop him and lies to his son, revealing that his cancer has returned. Another act of desperation and manipulation. Hank returns home, and Marie asks if he told the DEA about Walt. He hasn't, and she's worried about what will happen if they find out before he does, her fear of what is about to happen now becoming a very real threat. He replies that the time isn't yet right, putting his plan above the safety of his family, his obsession now starting to take over his logic and reason. Walt places a camera in front of their bed, setting up the stage for his own dangerous game of survival, and his desperation to create a narrative to protect himself, even as his world is beginning to fall apart. After Skylar asks if he's sure it's the right thing to do, he begins recording a video statement. The truth, now another weapon in his very dangerous arsenal. Walt and Skylar meet Hank and Marie at a Mexican restaurant, a tense gathering of two fractured families who are all on the verge of being completely destroyed. Walt asks them to leave their children out of it, pleading they've been through enough, and they don't need to be dragged through any more of this. When it's clear Hank isn't interested in anything short of Walt's arrest, Walt and Skylar calmly get up and leave, Walt once again putting his plan in motion, his focus now on protecting himself. As they leave, Walt places a DVD in front of Hank, another calculated act that will take control over their narrative, and play on Hank's fears. Hank and Marie watch Walt's video, his confession, on their TV. It's a carefully constructed lie, designed to frame Hank as the true mastermind of the operation, with Walt only as a pawn. Walt claims Hank used his drug connections at the DEA to start the operation and sold Walt to Gus to be a cook. He also claims Hank and Gus had a falling out, which led to Gus having Hank shot and Hank having Gus killed using a bomb he forced Walt to make. He then says he gave Hank almost $200,000 to help with his therapy after the shootout, and references Hank taking his children, and when he recently tried to quit, Hank punched him in the face. The video ends, and Hank dismisses it, saying it's just a threat, another layer to the deception he has always believed. He then asks about the medical bills, and Marie admits she took the money from Skylar, believing it was from his gambling, another loose end that now connects everything directly to his brother-in-law. Hank recognizes this link as the final nail in his coffin, now knowing that Walt has set the wheels in motion to destroy him as well, his world now in complete freefall. Saul brings Jesse to the desert for a meeting with Walt, a precarious exchange in a dangerous and desolate place. Jesse tells Walt that he doesn't think Hank has much evidence, and it's unlikely he has told anybody else what he knows about Walt, another reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows. Walt suggests Jesse might be better off leaving the area and starting fresh with a new identity. This sets Jesse off. He thinks he's being given an ultimatum, and Walt will have him killed if he doesn't leave. Jesse, completely broken, begins to cry. Walt walks over and holds Jesse, who falls apart in his arms, a dangerous manipulation that Jesse can't see, a reminder that all of Walt's affection is not genuine, but only designed to keep him under his control. Walt tells Skylar that, "It worked, we're fine," another lie meant to comfort her, but that only serves to highlight the fact that he truly believes in his own narrative now, and believes that he can control everything that will happen. His ego is back in full force, and his actions are now driven by his need to win at any cost. Gomez is upset that Hank has been using his men to tail Jesse without explanation, his loyalty to Hank now being tested, and a rift now starting to form. Hank agrees to stop. His power to protect himself and his career is dwindling with every new decision he is forced to make, and the lies he has been telling. Saul explains to Jesse how it works with the guy who will find him a new identity out of state. He emphasizes that if Jesse agrees, there's no turning back, a harsh reminder that this is the last step out of this dangerous world. He gives the go-ahead, and the meeting is set for 1 hour. A nervous Jesse lights up a joint, and a furious Saul says the guy won't take him if he's high. Jesse puts out the joint but refuses to give back the rest of the bag, now having his own plan in mind. While waiting for the guy, Jesse reaches into his pocket for his weed. He realizes that Huel lifted it, and that Saul likely tampered with his cigarettes, the final pieces of his betrayal now beginning to fall into place. Just as Saul's guy pulls up, Jesse picks up his bag of money and walks away. His trust now completely shattered, and his fear starting to take over. Jesse bursts into Saul's office, hitting him, finally acknowledging the manipulations and lies that have been his world for so long. He accuses him of lifting his cigarettes so that Walt could use the Ritzen to poison Brock. Saul confesses to that part, saying he had no idea what Walt was up to at the time. Jesse leaves, and Saul immediately calls Walt to warn him, sensing that Jesse is about to come and bring down his entire operation. Walt's world is now starting to become even more dangerous. Walt races to the car wash, then finds a reason to go to the soda machine, where he has stashed his snub-nosed revolver, now fully knowing that he will be forced to defend himself, and his carefully crafted world is on the verge of being destroyed. He tells Skylar he forgot to pick up a prescription, another desperate and pathetic attempt to control the narrative, as he has been trying to do for so long. Jesse storms over to Walt's place, kicks in the front door, and starts maniacally pouring gasoline everywhere. His desperation and his desire for revenge now at a full peak. His path set in motion, and Walt's carefully constructed world is about to come crashing down.